Hey everybody, welcome back to a Straight Line Podcast. My name is Jeremy Martins and I would like to discuss with you guys today last weekend's racing at the World Champs in Glasgow in Scotland. Now before I start off and kick off with anything else, first mention, most importantly, must go to Candice Lill. Candice, well done in your second place at World Marathon Champs. Phenomenal result. Wow, well done. And I hope that this can serve as a motivator for a lot of young other ladies out there. It can be done. Again, well done. Next up, the Elite Men Road Race. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys would have watched it. And the thing that stood out, and the press guys have been talking about it for the last couple of months, and the thing that stood out, that was essentially World Criterium Champs. Now, this is an extreme case, an extreme example of a very tight and very technical circuit. But I still think that if the circuit wasn't as technical, you still would have had the same result. Going right down to it, you had the four best riders in the world. Mathieu van der Poel, Wout van Aert, Tadej Pogačar, and Mads Pedersen. Masterclass. Coming into the end, I think it was a lap and a half to go. Van der Poel put the hammer down, rode away from those guys. Now you must know, if you have the ability and strength to ride away from Mads Pedersen, Wout van Aert, and Tadej Pogačar, that's a big day that you're on. But yeah, that's all good and well. International cycling is something that I will always like to discuss, but more importantly, well, for me at least, is South African cycling. Now we had four riders in the men's elite race: Daryl Impey, Ryan Gibbons, Morne van die Kerk, and Callum Ormiston. From what I saw on the TV or the computer screen, first 130 Ks from Edinburgh to Glasgow seemed relatively simple, bar that protester, that near hour delay on the side of the road. But the racing definitely lit up when they entered the circuit. It was a 14K lap, which was done 10 times. On the first lap and a half, 2 laps, Denmark, they put the hammer down. I mean, you must know, when you've got a guy like Markov, one of the world's best lead-out men, going absolutely full taps, and you can see his intention is just to ride the race to pieces, have a select group left, then to control it. You must know, if that's his sole intention, that's what he's going to do. It didn't look like any fun. If you were into the first 20 or 30 in that race, you had a very, very, very tough time on your hands. Word around the campfire is that our very own Ryan Gibbons, on the first lap, he averaged 7 watts per kilo. And again, I'm going to put it out there for all of you stats nerds. 7 watts a kilo for the first lap. So let's just say that first lap takes anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes. Yeah, that's a significant amount. And that's after 130 Ks in your leg with another 140 to go. Yeah, that's some serious big watts. Just on a side note, if you have a look at the results of the top 10 or top 12, I think there's only 1 or 2 riders that did not do the Tour de France. So that just goes to show the disparity in all the riders at World Champs. You got guys that are just hot off the Tour de France. You've got the other nations, the African nations. The guys are trying their best to do what they can, racing some of the local African races. And if they're lucky enough, get to go race some lower level races in Europe. When you go race a World Champs and you're competing against guys who have just stepped off the Tour de France, and not just guys, the best guys in the Tour de France. I mean, Pogačar was second, Wout van Aert. I mean, everyone knows who and what Wout van Aert does. Van der Poel, best lead-out man in the business. I mean, some of his lead-outs, he made like some of those other guys were standing still. So yeah, it's a very, very difficult game. Right, now on to the junior men. I watched the race. You could see it right from the neutral before the official start. The race was strung out, and if you are near the back end of a group in a race like that, the neutral zone is not neutral. It's a fighting zone to try and get your place. And if you can't get your place at Depart Real, kilometer 0, it's very, very difficult to move up through all those corners. I was listening to Johan Brunel on the Move podcast. He was saying something like 44 bends per lap, 44. Jeez, and the juniors raced, they did 9 laps, so 44 times 9, that's a hell of a lot. That's just short of 400 turns that you will be doing. Now, as I said earlier, this course is not your typical World Champs course. World Champs is a little bit more easier than this. This is pretty extreme. But if you look at it in the elite race, extreme course, very difficult, but the top 4 riders in the world, they were up there. So I think it was a fair course. The best guys won. But yeah, sorry, I digress. Going back to the junior race, we had Reino Schutte representing South Africa as well as Jose Kleinsmith. Reino finished, I think he finished his 61st place. Sorry, Reino, if I got it wrong. But yeah, I think it was somewhere around there, 6.5 to 7 minutes back. Jose Kleinsmith, he didn't finish the race, just too far back on the start. And if you're going into a circuit where your technical abilities aren't as good as what your physical abilities are, especially on a circuit like that, you're going to get found out. Lap 1, you might lose 20 seconds, 30 seconds over the finish line, but then it's just going to exponentially digress. You're going to get tired. Those guys are going to get faster. Your technical abilities are going to start becoming, or will start being, unfortunately, made very, very aware. And then eventually, when you get to a point you're so far down, time to call it quits. But yeah, where I really want to go with this whole podcast is, unfortunately, over the years, decades, it's unfortunately been the same situation. We send junior riders to race World Champs. In previous years, some of the junior riders had been racing in Europe and trying to get a little bit of experience. But in my opinion, it's too little too late. The bike racing culture, the kids aren't growing up 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds racing on circuits and learning the technical ability. And every year it's the same story. The guys and girls go there, they get blasted out on lap 1 and then just completely demoralized. So, as I said with the ladies, it's easy for me or anyone to sit and throw stones and say, oh, this is wrong and that's wrong and you wrong and this and this and this and that. Let's rather not do that. Let's rather try and be a bit more proactive. World Champs is always on a circuit. It's always going to be tight. It's always going to be fast. It's always going to be technical. Riding a 100K fun ride is not going to teach you anything when it comes to that type of riding. We need to have more circuit racing, more criterium racing to upskill the young kids. So at least when they get to the start line at Worlds, they are more prepared than what the guys and girls are now. I've been saying this for a long time, and I'm going to keep on saying this all the way to the end. 100K fun riders are doing absolutely nothing for our junior riders. Yeah, sure, they get physiologically a bit stronger, but going to Worlds, having a big engine is just one part of many, many tools that you need to have in your toolbox to succeed. Now we're talking about that. What does it take to make a rider competitive at World Champs? Number 1, you need to have the physiology. Very important. You can't go there and you're sitting at an FTP of 250 and thinking that, wow, okay, I'm going to go there and I'm going to be competitive. That ain't going to happen. You need to have big numbers. Sure. How you do that? Correct training. You need to train hard with you and your coach. You do the correct training so you get the adaptation. Number 2, the mental aspect of it. The internal pressure and the external pressure of holding an event like that is immense. You need to be prepared to handle that. The equipment. Now, especially at the junior race, equipment is not the be-all and end-all, but you do need to have equipment that is up to standard. Now, particularly I know the guys that go to the track. Track is equipment mull. You got all the different handlebars, all the different bikes, all the different gearing. You need to at least go there and be in the fight if you want to be in the fight from an equipment perspective. But one thing that stands out for me the most, and it's caught our guys, our girls, and our guys every single year, is the low level of skill. The boys and girls need to be taught from an early age. You need to have, again, your criterium racing, your circuit racing. That is what's going to upskill them. The way it is now, it's not good enough. And unless things change, it's going to be the same every single time. And if you are like me, I don't want to see that. I would like to see our riders improving. We need to have better systems in place, more opportunities. And when I say opportunities, I don't mean send a team off to Belgium or France or Italy for 3 months and hope that they get this magical potion thrown on them that, oh, now you are 15 to 20% better. No, that does not happen. The guys and girls have been trying that for the last couple of decades and it never works. It's got to come from a young age. The culture needs to be instilled. The experience needs to be brought in. Once you've got those experiences, then start thinking about going over there. I just hope that going forward, we as a cycling community can do better. We bring back the culture of bike racing and not just bike fun riding. In order for our sport to progress, we need to make changes, and that has to happen now. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to me ranting and rave. See you guys later. Cheers.